push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Oakley with you. Thanks for hanging out here, coming at you live from a lot drier YSN headquarters here in East Palestine, Ohio. Thanks to the, you can see a little bit of it over there, the fan, 42-inch fan we're renting and trying to air this place out. There is no smell like that musty smell of like a wet basement. That's the smell that we walked into today, even though the fan was on. So we're trying to get rid of that. We're getting all, so if you got tips for getting rid of that like weird, like wet dog smell, that we now have to go through because we're trying to combat this leak in our ceiling, please let us know what your tips are. I've heard baking soda. I've heard white vinegar. We bought, through Amazon, we bought these little, I guess they're not little, they're like 4-pound buckets that you just take off the top. So if you have a tip for us, help us out here trying to make sure this place doesn't reek like a locker room. But what a show we have for you today. We'll recap the events that were last night in the All-Star game at Youngstown State University. Again, I can't speak highly enough about these All-Star games. We talked about it yesterday. We're going to talk about it again today because the ladies put on a show last night and they had a lot of fun doing it. But first, as we do always, we have to get to On This Day in Sports History. It's a fun one today. Here it goes. All right, so this one's off the beaten path a little bit. Typically, I get it off of a website that gives us a list of things that happened during the day. But today, June 28th, 1998, on this day in sports history, do you know what I'm going to say? Do you know what happened at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on this day in sports history at the King of the Ring? Ladies and gentlemen, it was the night that The Undertaker threw Mankind off of the steel cell and then through the steel cell. And if you've never seen it, if you're a kid, you like wrestling, or you don't like wrestling, if you just want to go, whoa, have your eyes open like saucers, you need to go check it out. It happened on this day in 1998. I was in 8th grade. I remember it vividly. It was one of the biggest moments of my, at that point of my wrestling life. Loved it. At that point, it was WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan body slams Andre the Giant. End of story. Still one of my top 5. But on this day in sports history, this is the real deal Holyfield. This was Mankind, Mick Foley, flying off of the cage in Pittsburgh. And I had friends that were there and saw it live. And I don't think anybody can still believe what happened for their eyes. What is your favorite, if you're a wrestling fan, favorite wrestling moment from yesteryear? I guess that's certainly a top 5 moment for me. Had to bring that out. That was in it, and because it happened in Pittsburgh, even that damp rid. Yes, Bev, that's exactly what we got. Damp rid. So that stuff's coming in, and I'm it's weird because you can't smell it when you're in it, but if you go outside and you come back in, you can smell it. It's weird. It's a weird scenario. I don't know why. I don't know if your nose gets used to things, or I don't know how it works. I tell my wife all the time I have COVID nose still because it just hasn't been the same since a year and a half ago. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's like we've got, I wouldn't call it damage, but this brand new turf we put down is up a little bit, and I don't know how to pull that out because it came in a couple different pieces on one big roll. So we're going to have to figure some stuff out. That's just how it's going to be. And obviously it's a crappy situation, but one of those things that you just deal with, right? There's no sense in crying over spilled milk. You just kind of move on and keep dealing with it. But thanks for the tip, Bev. Appreciate it very much. Let's get to last night. So last night, 7 o'clock, the Ysn All-Star Game, the softball version, takes place at Youngstown State University. Beautiful, beautiful facilities. As always, Youngstown State is creme de la creme when it comes to that stuff. So I'm excited. Everybody's excited. People are showing up early. Gates are supposed to open at 5:30. People are lining up at 5:10 to get in, and they just started coming in. So Quinn and I just started selling tickets and selling shirts and doing whatever we possibly could. A great team effort last night. Everybody was on hand. We still had games going. So we had kind of a skeleton crew from a YSN standpoint. But I think it went pretty well. I really do. I was proud of our efforts. I was so thankful for the parents and our crew of people that are always willing to help. Brian showed up last night, did the scoreboard. The silent assassin, the wizard behind the behind the curtain, and he stayed behind the curtain for the most part last night. So it was a good. It was a good event for us, but a great event for Project MKC, and raising money and awareness for them, and hopefully people understand why they're so important and why they do what they do. And I can't speak highly enough about everybody there. I got to meet the founder last night, which was phenomenal. Her being on hand was such an honor. And Harper Marlowe threw out the first pitch again, and she threw an absolute strike. And it was a great. There were so many great moments last night that it's hard to pick one out of it. And they played and played and played until they wouldn't let them play anymore. I mean, it got to the point where the lights weren't turning on, so that was kind of a bummer for us. But we since had conversations with Youngstown State, and they apologize for the inconvenience. But I think we got a lot of good softball in, and that was the important thing. Is the girls got to get out there and play with some friends that maybe they haven't seen or played with for a while, and there was so much positive energy on that field. You could tell, you could just tell that the girls were excited to play with one another, and against some competition that they had never seen before. I mean, only one place in the world are you going to be able to see a young lady from Wyndham play a young lady from Salem, or another player from Ursuline. You know what I mean? They just don't see each other. And to see, because I walked into both dugouts and just kind of took it in for a minute, and everybody's talking, everybody's chatting. There was nobody that was excluded from the group, and it was great to see. It really is. And when you give these kids a platform, they know what to do. And we had two great coaches and two great coaching staffs that were there. Coach Pizzullo from Mohawk did an unbelievable job of, talking and communicating with the girls and trying to get the best idea of where they want to play. Because here's the thing. He's from Pennsylvania. He's from Mohawk, right? It's Newcastle-ish. And he only has an idea of a handful of these girls where he played. And his own representative from Mohawk, Olivia Hare, was on the other side because she's a freshman, and we don't want to get into kind of the hairy situations, no pun intended, that you can get into with playing a kid in a contact period or a no contact period or whatever that is. So what you do is you have to put them on the other team. If a coach is coaching and it's not a senior, you put that player on the other team. So that's what happened. So coach is kind of understanding of like where the general direction people play, but he was so complimentary of how good all the girls were on that field. And on the other side, my brother from another mother, Nate Schick, a guy that I've been around since I was just a puppy, still in college, taught me the ropes in this business, and I still idolize. I still think that he's one of the greatest people I've ever met. And I told him last night, I said, I want my little one to get 1 year of you coaching her. because the way he coaches, he cares so much about not only the kids that are on his bench and in his dugout, but the girls around the area and the game of softball as a whole. And, he told me a story last night, and I hope he doesn't mind me telling it here. What we all know what happened to Haley Croyle, and she went down in the playoffs, and it was against Lakeview. And Nate told me that he was in the third base box, and he turned around because of foul ball, and when he turned back to the field, Haley was doubled over and on the ground, and it that was when her season ended with that injury. So for him seeing her pitch last night and being able to wear that Hubbard Eagle jersey one more time, and people don't think it's a big deal, right? In the age of, it doesn't matter what jersey you wear, you're out for yourself. Haley Croyle and a lot of these girls are old school, and Haley was so excited to play last night as a Hubbard Eagle and represent her school in this particular All-Star game with teammates, with conference mates, and with people that she's grown up playing, that you could see it. She took it personally, and she had a great game, and I was so honored that she wanted to play, and not just show up, but play. And, we're so happy for her, and continued success to all the girls that took place last night. That took part last night, rather. There were so many stories from last night's game, just so many of them, from, how many people showed up. I mean, we raised over Saturday and Monday, we raised nearly $4,000 for Project MKC. That's just the gate. That's just, that's the, if we had concessions or we had, but we don't. And I'm not mad about it, but that speaks more to the people that are willing to show up and show out for local charity and local sports and everything that goes along with it. And I can't thank you enough. And I cannot wait to write that check tomorrow and get it out to the great people at Project MKC and tour their facilities. That's the one thing they love, people walking their facilities and telling their story. And there's a sense of pride, right? When you put something together like they have at Project MKC, like we have here at YSN, and people want to see it. They want to see how it goes down, and how the magic happens, so to speak. And I'm so honored that all those, there was a ton of people from Project MKC, and I told them, listen, you guys don't have to pay. It goes right back to you. And they insisted. So that's the kind of people that you're dealing with, are people that are going to be in the foxhole with you. And they insist that, hey, this money's going to a good cause because it's coming back to us and we know what to do. So we're putting money in with everybody else. They don't want to be treated like anybody else. And again, just a grateful experience for it last night and Saturday. And the softball that was played was outstanding. I didn't get to see a ton of it. I almost got hit by a ball. Thanks, Maddie Lester. But I also I was running around again like a chicken with my head cut off and listening to people's stories, which is what I wanted to do. I talked to the players. I talked to the coaches, talked to some parents, talked to some fans, talk to some people who don't have YSN that are looking at the opportunity of getting it. And it was just a great night. It was a great night. It was a relaxed night. And I don't think anybody wanted it to end. But sometimes and always good things come to that abrupt ending. And I can't thank everybody enough. From Ty and Anthony announcing it and letting everybody on Facebook and ysnlive.com be able to see it from all over the world. We had over 4,000 people tune in for that. So you sit there and you wonder, what we're all about. And people complain all the time about gate, but, we're going to do the best we can. The same as these schools. We're not going to sit there and point the finger at, well, if you're not coming to the game, nobody can come. We're not going to post it on YSN. That's just not how it works. People out there want to see. We have people contribute money because they couldn't be there. And that's the important thing, is bringing everybody together and understanding that without foundations like Project MKC, without different charities and you wouldn't have these all-star games. You wouldn't have ours, that's for sure, because we want to always give back with these and show the kids and show families that listen, we want you there, but we want you representing something you can be proud of. And you're proud to hand over $5 because it's for charity. I had one guy joking with me last night. Oh, five. I mean, there's two of us, $10. I can just go to a regular game. Yeah, you can, but then you're not giving to charity. We're giving up all our rights from that standpoint to give back to what we feel is the right thing to do. And I will always feel like it's the right thing to do to give to charity in moments like that, because I don't think we should be making a ton of money off of an event that features your kids. I just don't. That's why we utilize advertising in every aspect we can, because they want to be seen. That's what we do. We are a platform to be seen. And unless we are given, from a governmental standpoint, when the OHS say, hey, we don't want to charge you. We just don't. We don't think it's fair. And we'll try to always be like that. But business models change, plans change, and you just never know. But with our all-star games, as long as I'm in control, those are always going to go to charity. Always, always, always. So thanks to everybody for showing up, whether it be Saturday, whether it be Monday. Thanks to everybody for making adjustments and being liquid with plans on Sunday, because it was touch and go. It was really touch and go. I fought it tooth and nail the entire way, to believe it or not. And I was a little nervous at 6:30 and it hadn't rained. I was really nervous at 6:30 and there was not a drop. And my poor wife had to put up with me pouting for about a half hour. And then 7 o'clock came and it was like somebody turned on the faucet. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, well, at least it rained. You know what I mean? You start leveling with yourself and having those conversations with yourself. At least it rained. And then it poured. And I'm thinking to myself, there's nowhere to run at YSU. There's no cover to run to. So people would have been absolutely drenched and just upset at the world. And we are the first ticket in line. So it all worked out. It was a beautiful night last night. There's another all-star game tonight. It's going to be a beautiful night tonight. So get out there, support the athletes. Support the athletes. I could care less about anything else. Support the kids. Some of these kids, this is the last time they're going to put uniforms on. Some of these kids aren't going to college to play. Go support them. One more time, they could use it. They want to hear somebody clap, say their name, and encourage them. So get out there, enjoy it. No matter what, it should and will always be about the kids. So again, unbelievable game. Coach Pizzola pulls out the win, the walk-off victory. But I think everybody went home winners last night. So that was what we aimed for, and I think we hit a bullseye on that. So exciting stuff. And if you weren't watching Running Point, we broke the news officially that we will, in late October, early November, we will host the first ever YSN volleyball all-star game at a site to be determined. We got a couple places in mind, but that's one that's been in the works for a while. I know Anthony's very excited about it. I'm very excited about it. I think a lot of people are very excited about. We'll pick a different charity for that to get involved. And volleyball is a sport here that gets overlooked a ton. And Anthony kind of went into this, and we've kind of jousted a little bit back and forth, and because of JO and things of that nature, volleyball is a beast. People don't realize that it's bigger than you think it is. To me, volleyball is not as big as softball, but it's bigger than basketball, and I really do believe that it's going to gain in popularity, and we want to ride that wave with the popularity. I love volleyball. I absolutely love it. My sister played it. I thought it was boring. I was always kind of interested in it from a playing perspective because, I mean, it's an easy game it's an easy concept. You hit it back over on 3 hits. There's not a whole lot of rules involved and like offsides and all that stuff. There's none of that. But in volleyball, it can be tricky when you're trying to have an all-star game or more than, let's say, 12 kids, right? Which we have a significant amount. Last night we had, I want to say 50 kids. And when you have representatives from all these schools, what are you going to do? You can't have them all on the field or the playing surface. the hardwood at one time, you've got to be able to cut them up. So for about, I want to say about a year now, we've been trying to figure out how to make volleyball work. It was, okay, can we get 2 courts going? Can we have 2 locations going simultaneously? And then you realize you're kind of splitting your territories, right? And that's not exactly what you want to do. You want everybody in the gym at one time. You want everybody kind of on the floor. So I forget what I was watching, and they were talking about pods being different groups of people, right? So I started thinking about it, and it was like a light bulb went off. So I think I'm 99% sure what we're going to do is we're going to create 5 different pods of 2 teams, right? So really 10 pods. And each one will have a designated game, and they'll play each other. And the winner of that, the best of 5, goes home the winner. And again, a great opportunity to see a lot, and I mean a lot, of volleyball talent under one roof. And I think that as we're starting to see with these, we're starting to send invites out to college coaches and recruiters and things of that nature. I think it's a great opportunity for juniors and seniors to be seen in a kind of a opportunity, I would say, to show their raw talent, because these aren't necessarily girls they're setting up plays with or are used to playing with. So I would assume that we're going to see some recruiters and some coaches at this thing when it's all said and done. So the first ever volleyball all-star game will be to be determined. It'll be late October, early November. We'll get that all squared away this summer, and we'll make the announcement where it's going to be. And, believe it or not, we'll start kind of pre-picking teams before the season starts, just because you got to have a base layer, right? These are who we think are going to be those kind of preseason All-Americans, so to speak, on YSN. And we're going to bring them in and kind of lock them in, and hopefully they'll be able to play and partake in the event. But that's exciting news from us, that we broke that today on Running Point. There's a ton going on. We got 14U baseball playoffs for Class B started last night. And it looked like the Astro Falcons runaway freight train. I mean, the Falcons are flying again, and it's going to be tough to stop. And we'll have all the action for you tonight on ysnlive.com, which I should probably give you a heads up on what's going to be on the network tonight. Give me 1 second, and I will fill you in where you can go over to ysnlive.com/live. Oh, we got a lot on the network tonight. We have 5:30. We have Creekside Fitness at Avalanche, 16U. Nightline at Ballistic, 16U at 5:30. Another 5:30 game, Whiting versus Eagleware at 16U. Then we've got some softball, 10U and 12U BCB at 6 o'clock. Austintown versus Canfield, that's 10U. We also have at 6 o'clock Austintown versus Poland, that's 12U softball. And at 6 o'clock, we got Poland versus Boardman in 10U softball. Also, the Scrappers taking on the Trenton Thunder tonight. The Thunder will have the call for us. You can still listen to it right here on ysnlive.com. Astro Falcons at Avalanche, the 14U championship. That's at 8 o'clock. Astro Falcons at Dura Edge. That's a 16U baseball game. Also at 8 o'clock, Athletics at Prospects. That's 16U and 12U. Boardman versus South Range. BCB softball in prime time under the lights at the Fields of Dreams. That all starts at 8 o'clock. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games for you tonight to log on to and check out for your broadcasting and viewing pleasure. So hopefully you're able to do that. If you're doing chores, it's a beautiful day to get out there, mow the lawn, hang out, get all your stuff taken care of. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful week till about Saturday, according to Storm Tracker 21. And my good friend Emily Frazzini is watching the what are they, like 21 WFMJ Today show, I guess. I love that show. I love being able to turn 21 on, watch that, and I watch Today. And then what is it? Ryan and Kelly. We watch almost every morning. So that's how I kind of get things kick-started and try to supplement my wife's superhuman duties as a mother each and every morning. And she's just unbelievable. And, she was bummed she couldn't make the games last night. That's one of her favorite nights as well. Is just being able to kind of kick back and watch what she has her husband do and all the things that she sacrifices. So if you see her around, you need to give her a high five or a hug or a Xanax or something, because she is, my goodness, she's a saint, and she is dead tired right now. So she deserves almost like 10 Mother's Days in 1 year, because she has been super mom. So you see her rolling around, make sure that you give her proper due and a hug and a high five. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, still a lot to talk about on the network. Wanted to talk about the kind of, we talk about parents a lot. I want to talk about coaches and understanding the value of not only all-star games, but these showcases, right? Because if it's really about the kids, then you have to kind of, these flies are back. I can't believe it. If it's really about the kids, you have to make it about the kids. You can't just be talk, because talk is cheap. If it's about the kids, it's about the kids. And if it's not, just come out and say it. It's about you winning championships, and that's it. We're going to talk about that and get your opinion when we come back on the Ysn Power Hour, brought to you by these great supporters.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi, with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. We don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting, where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education, and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
You know, being able to have success on the football field and the basketball court and just every aspect of, my sports career is now documented. One of the greatest things about high school sports is to be able to talk about it for the rest of your life, and to look back on the days with my buddies whenever we would have some battles, whether it was with our rival or just another game, and I could go back and look at it, and not only myself but my family members, my teammates, and it's something that will last a lifetime. My name is Parker Sherry, and my sports network is your sports network.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Oakley with you alongside the Flies here as we continue to try to air this place out. Here, again, if you weren't with us yesterday, this place leaked. The Sunday night when it poured down, we've been having leak problems for years now, but the roof was supposed to be fixed. We put down the new flooring, the turf floor, and we roll in on, well, I guess we swam in, probably is a better word, on Monday morning, and it was absolutely flooded. So some of the stuff was toast. We brought in this 42-inch fan that we got at our good buddy T&M Hardware in here in East Palestine in the plaza. Rolled this baby over, and it's pretty much dry. There's a couple spots, but it smells. It smells like a locker room, like a wet dog right now. So we'll be trying to take care of that in the coming days and weeks to come with, what Bev say it was? Damp rid, damp, something like that. Damp rid, there it is. So we'll have that, and hopefully everything goes well. But right now, we're going to get back to the sports trail, and I want to talk about coaches. We give a lot of flack to parents. We give a ton of flack to parents on this show, because I think sometimes parents get a little bit, and myself included. Listen, I had to calm myself down from a T-ball game a couple weeks ago, And like on the ride home, I'm thinking how sad of a person gets all ramped up about T-ball. But when you're competitive, you're competitive. And I think that's why there's a different context to this show. I'm never talking at you. I'm just talking with you and talking to you. And I want to hear it back from you. I want it to go both ways. So if we're talking and you don't have to necessarily agree with me. I want to hear it back why I'm wrong. And we can have a little bit of a debate. It's never really an argument. It's just a debate. And there might not be a winner at the end of it. You're going to have your opinion, which you're completely entitled to, and so am I. But we get on coaches sometimes, but I want to get on coaches here a little bit. And parents near and far have been coming at me with this and coming to me with this and these showcases, right? Which whether you're for them or against them, right? They're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. Baseball, basketball, softball, football, track. I mean, they are everywhere. You name the sport, there's a showcase for it because there's a buck to be made. It's a business. I get it. But in that business, they have a job to do. They are either supposed to be basically the marketing arm for your son or daughter and getting them out there to recruitment services, to recruiters, to coaches, to programs, to wherever, right? Tweeting them, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be. But we've started to see coaches that, especially in the off season of coaches. So what I'm saying, when I say off season, baseball season is spring, summer season is summer, right? Baseball season in the summer is summer ball. We're seeing coaches, AAU, JO, all taking these kids and I don't want to say abusing them because that's not the right word, but overusing them. Okay? Overusing these kids so they can't necessarily be at their best for these showcases. Do I think it's intentional? I don't know. In some cases, maybe it is. In some cases, it isn't. But in some stretches, it's just ignorant because if you know a kid has a showcase that the parents paid a lot of money for, right? Because a lot of these summer coaches aren't necessarily the recruitment arm for these kids. These summer coaches are basically coaches that are, I want to say, not lying in the weeds, but just kind of staying back a little bit. Or coaches that are, it's their secondary thing and just trying to get some looks and get their kids and help out. And coaches trying to coach, right? They're trying to be coaches and progress themselves, progress their programs, whatever it may be. Sometimes these coaches get a little ahead of themselves and a little full of themselves. And that's where we get in trouble. That's where the fine line starts to be hopped over habitually. And, a kid's throwing 110 pitches during games just so he can't throw the next day or just so he can't go to an all-star game or just so he can't do whatever the case may be. And that's why, and I understand there's different ways of communication, right? In football, in every sport, baseball, basketball, track, sometimes, you have to go through the kid first. There's a cool down period now. I've seen some of these contracts that these kids have to sign. There's cool down periods of 24 hours and you can never talk about another player other than your son or daughter. I get all that. And I'm for all that. But from a parent's perspective, if they have things that they want their son and daughter to do, or the kids want to do something, heaven forbid, and it's important to them, the coaches should not they should have the wherewithal to shut a kid down at a righteous point. If a kid is going to play in a showcase or go to a game or something in involvement other than that program. So if your kid's in AAU and that coach decides to play 6 games on that day, I understand the commitment that your son or daughter made on that team. But if there's big plans on Sunday and that kid needs to be somewhat fresh, and you're a coach, and on that Saturday you're grinding that kid down on 6 games, keeping them in, and refusing to take them out, refusing to give that, and then you just, we gave it our all on Saturday, didn't get the job done, but everybody gets a week off. No, that kid, as long as they told you and you understand that there's something else to do on Sunday, that's an abuse of power, because at the end of the day, those kids are going to do whatever you tell them to do, especially the competitive ones. Those kids are going to go out and they're going to fight tooth and nail. If you tell them to go run through a wall, they're going to run through that wall. You have to be the adult in the room and understand that, okay, maybe we got to take little Jimmy and scale the minutes down a little bit. One way or the other. Either the pyramid or flip the pyramid. Play him big in the morning, smaller towards you get. But problem is, just as I am with T-ball, once you hit that switch, once things get competitive a little bit, it's hard to turn it off. It's hard not to get outs. It's hard not to put up points. It's hard not to let your best players play and coach it. I'm with you. I'm with all of you. I understand it. But I think there needs to be a point where the accountability steps in. Coaches have to, must be that accountability. Have to. Just absolutely have to. Kids are not going to be. And a lot of times if they are, they get called soft or benched, or, you know what I mean? And is that the ultimate goal? No. Coaches should say, okay, I saw it happen on Saturday night. I saw it happen on Saturday night when Brian Warner told Mark Bunch, because Mark's going to go, I think he just got done pitching like 100 pitches, and I could be off on the scale, so don't quote me, but it's somewhere in that range. And Brian Warner said, you know what, son, you got a great future ahead of you. You're going to go 1. That's it. That's it. The All-Star game is not worth your entire future. And I'm the guy that puts it on. In that moment, Brian Warner, the Louisville head coach for baseball, stand-up guy. Stand-up dude. And he proved it right there to a kid that he has no ties to, no strings to, other than the fact that Mark Bunch played on his team. And I can tell you 100% that his parents probably appreciate that. Probably appreciate that. And that's the kind of stuff that needs to happen more. People will sit there in basketball. My goodness, with the All-Star games. There's All-Star games out the wazoo in basketball. We're one of them. But, having one after the other, and you're trying to show what I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to kind of pat ourselves on the back a little bit. The reason we have so many players is because we don't want there to be major minutes. We don't want them to be taxed. You're there to show up, represent your school, put up a couple shots, wave to the fans, sign a couple autographs, and enjoy the bench, enjoy the atmosphere. That's what we want. I know you want to play, but sometimes, and we tell this to the coaches, we don't want people putting in time after time after time. Like, it's an all-star game. And I'm going to be honest, even though there are coaches there at the next level, they've got an idea of what you can do. They're looking at how you handle yourself. They're looking at how you react when you miss a shot. They're looking at how you react to people who you don't know from Adam on the street, coming and wearing the same uniform as you, or wearing, being on the same team as you. They're looking at how you can generate points or generate passes or generate hits or whatever it may be. They're looking at a lot of other things other than how many points will you have in an all-star game. The great moments that we had in this all-star game are awesome. But at the end of the day, we're not going to sit there and play you 9 innings. You're not going to throw 5 innings. You're going out there, you might get 1, you might get 2. If you get 3, that's it. That's as far as we're stretching you. And then you move on. Good, bad, or indifferent. Some pitchers use it as a bullpen in baseball. I can appreciate that. But the biggest thing is these coaches, summer coaches, AAU coaches. I understand that you feel the most pressure because you feel like, and you're probably right, rightfully so, you're probably got a lot more attention from these college coaches on you because of the time of year it is. That's it. It's the time of the year. It's because that's when their free time is. These coaches can't be recruiting necessarily during their college seasons. And I think that's what happens a lot is the egos start to kind of grow a little bit. You know, it's they just keep going. It's kind of like the pink stuff in Ghostbusters 2. When you get that yelling at it, it starts bubbling and bouncing and stuff like that. That's what's happening. Is we're starting to get that in the different travel type. I don't even know what to. I don't want to call it extracurricular sports, but that's kind of what it is. Can't call it travel ball because then people just think that it's softball and baseball. AAU is obviously identified with basketball, but there is more than basketball in AAU. And JO is identified as volleyball. But all these coaches need to kind of, if they haven't already, because there are coaches out there. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and just paint with a broad brush and say every coach that does extracurricular sports does this. There's coaches out there that understand. Those are the ones that are in there for your kids. Those are the ones that are out there and they're trying to protect your kids. Are they trying to win? Yes. But are they winning at all costs by costing your kid years of their potential career? I don't think so. I don't think so. Everybody has the switch, right? Everybody that's competitive that I know has that switch. We just fumble around in the dark sometimes trying to find it. Coaches are all guilty of this at one point. We talk about awareness a lot, self-awareness. Coaches are constantly trying to learn awareness. They're trying to coach themselves. But as we talked about before, and if you ever watched my victory lap, one of the toughest things in this industry, in sports, is a coach trying to critique themselves. Because they're not on tape all the time, right? They're not on tape. This is where we soften the blow on coaches. Coaches are brought up, and a lot of time they're former players or very good statisticians or people that understand the game extraordinarily well. They're not, and they don't have time to coach themselves, to critique themselves, to give themselves a grade, because they're putting all of their eggs in the basket of your son or daughter. So a lot of times you hear the around the dinner table talk. Well, coach didn't do this, and coach didn't do that, and coach didn't. They probably did. But are they aware that they're not doing that? Are they aware? As we know, there's two sides to every story, right? Well, what I always wonder is, at practice, and I'm not condoning parents going to practice unless you're invited. But at practices, what is your son or daughter doing? Are they the ones that are taking every rep like it's their last rep, like it's the one that depends on a scholarship to a D1 school or not? Or are they the ones jacking around in the back of the line trying to figure out what they're going to eat later? Sometimes parents, you have to ask those questions to your kids, and you might have to ask those questions to the coaches. And somebody, in that you'll get the truth. You have to be you have to be the detective. You have to be the detective, because your coach is, your son or daughter is probably going to tell you, "No, I take every rep like it's my last one, Mom. I take every swing like it's my last one, Dad. And if you know your kid, you know that's probably true or false. Because you should know your kid better than the coach does. And we've talked about coaches being huge influencers on kids. But nowadays, it's a different ballgame. It's a different ballgame. Coaches who are tough are oftentimes left in the dust. They're left in the dust because nobody wants to face the music. Nobody wants to admit that maybe they're not working as hard as someone else or as they should be. And coaches are the bad guys. That's what people believe. But for me, I want someone that has my kids' best intentions in mind. I want that guy or that girl or woman, I should say. I'm sorry. Those are the kind of people I want. I want people that are hard on you can be hard on my kid. That's fine. But it has to be for a reason. Don't pitch my kid 100 pitches just because you don't want them pitching for somebody else. Don't run my kid for 6 games in AAU or JO because you just don't want them going to hang out with their friends. Like, that's my job. As a parent, I will make that. And coaches, you sit there and you say, I don't want to talk to parents. I don't want to do this. These parents overstep their bounds. These parents. Sometimes they have to now. Sometimes they have to. Because you won't. You will not. Because heaven forbid it's an 8-7 game or a 3-2 game or a 1-0 game. And that kid's gotten 60 pitches and all of a sudden that 60 turns into 120. Because you get into the 3rd or 4th time through that order and they're seeing things they've already seen before. But as long as it's a close game, you don't want to burn through that bullpen because you might need them. Not buying it. Not buying it. It's the switch. You can turn the switch off, but you have to learn. You have to be aware when it's tough to do that. Those are the moments, right? Those game-changing moments that coaches talk to kids about. Those game-changing moments happen for coaches too. And sometimes it's game-changing moments that people don't even know about. Let people second-guess you and ask you why. You pulled that kid out a little bit early. Well, they don't know that he's got a showcase tomorrow or she's got a showcase tomorrow. And your intentions are pure because you want that kid to have a great showcase. So when they come back, right, that's the goal. Get them back next season. When they come back, they've got a scholarship or they're on a team, they're on a program, they're playing at the next level, and you are proud as a peach. But it's tough to do. And I think awareness for coaches, it has to start and end with you. I'm tired of the finger pointing to the parents because it's not always the parents' fault. And trust me, I know parents can be challenging. I know they can be difficult. I know that it could be one of those scenarios where you sit there and you just pull all your hair out. But you signed up for it. You knew this wasn't going to be easy. You knew you were going to have to work on it, work through it, work with it. You have a chance to be influencers as well, one way or the other. And trust me, the older these kids get, the more influential and influenced that they can be, the more your decisions live rent-free in their head, one way or the other. Communication is key. Communication is everything. Parents, you can't complain if you didn't let the coach know, my son or daughter has this coming up tomorrow. We need to scale back just a little bit. Maybe don't pitch them 7 innings. Maybe don't catch them 7 innings if you're a catcher. Maybe put them at first, DH, whatever. Don't play him in 6 games. Play him in 3. Yeah, you might bite the bullet right now, but we're playing for the long game here. Playing for that long game. Coaches, you have the opportunity. You have to communicate as well. This is why I did something. Communicate that to your players. Talk to them. Little Johnny, do you feel good about this? I'm going to take you out, but I'm looking out for your best interest here. They might be mad at you. They might get pissed. At the end of the day, that's okay. You have to be the adult in the room, in the dugout, on the bench, wherever, in the gym. You have to be the adult. That is what you are being tasked to do. Whether you're paid or volunteer, you have to be the adult. And players, I'm looking at you too. You need to communicate. This can't be just an oh, by the way situation at the last minute, because coaches are getting their plans together sometimes days before games happen. So if mom and dad tell you and give you the opportunity to communicate to your coach and be a man or be a woman and start contributing to that communication cycle, then you need to do it. You need to go out and do it. Communicate to that coach. And if the coach says something back, you communicate that back to your parents. That's not being a middleman or a narc or whatever it may be. You're communicating. And trust me when I say, when there's open communication between all those lines, good things will happen. And if they don't, there's other homes for sale from that standpoint. Let's get to the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical, you need to call my friend Eric Carlson and his team over at Joe Dickey Electric, proud sponsors of your sports network. Visit them on the web at DickeyElectric.com. Hit it. All right, so interesting. I saw this on, I don't know if it was, I think it was ESPN. Gary Sheffield, Manny Ramirez, who else was it? Big Papi. I'm trying to think who else it was. Another Red Sox. Keith Folk, I think. And somebody else. Pedro Martinez. All of their kids, all of them, Hall of Famers right there. Those guys, right? All of their kids are playing on a team together. About an hour away from Boston. About an hour away from Fenway, they said. Can you imagine? And I guess it's the hottest ticket of the summer, by the way. I think they're all about 19 years old. Can you imagine going and watching all those, like Gary Sheffield, Gary Sheffield, raking the dirt so his kids can play? So like, this is what boggles my mind. Like, everybody talks about what players do after their careers are over. I mean, what's Manny Ramirez, like? Maybe 50, 51, somewhere around there. These guys are all playing together. They're having fun. They're watching their kids play baseball. Yeah, exactly. Ramirez Jr. is a beast. Right now, they said he's hitting 150. Like, his slash isn't that great right now. But you look at all those guys together, Mark, I mean, Little Papi, Manny being Manny, you got Gary Sheffield, you got Pedro Martinez, and Kevin Folk's kid. What? On one team? Who's going to take that team on? Is that the team? That might be the only team that can dethrone the Astro Falcons this year. So look out when you guys go to Texas. Fingers crossed, right? Look out. Those guys take the field. What are you going to do? Like, your eyes have to be saucers, because the parents of these players, not of the opposing players, I should say, if you're an opposing player and you're taking on that team, the Rocks, I think they're called. They call themselves the Suns. But if you're taking on that team, and like, I would be a dad in the stands and my kids, what? Like, you start reading the roster, Manny Ramirez Jr., Sheffield, Ortiz, Martinez, Folk. What? And then you look up, and in the stands, there's Manny and Poppy and Gary Sheffield and Pedro and Keith Folk. Keith Folk, the least recognizable out of all of them, unless you're a true baseball fan and a Red Sox fan. But still a good pitcher nonetheless. And I will say this. I would be such a mark, like such a fan, if I was like, I hear that the autograph line goes on for hours. And there's grown men like yours truly that line up with a baseball trying to get it. Not to sell. Like, these are very, very tough. Like, you're not going to sell this. You're holding on to this one. All right, here we go. Mark says, Joe played against Sabathia's son last year with Team Ohio. Another stud. Yeah, again, how amazing would it be to just play against those people? I mean, that Joe had to be absolutely just cross-eyed. Like, he's who? Who? CC Sabathia's kids out there? What does that do to your mentality? What does that do to your psyche? How do you prepare for that? That's hey, Wayne Gretzky's kids out there on the ice. I'm going to go, nope. I'm messed up. That's it for me. I'm out there chasing autographs. That's what I'd be doing. But that's positive spark. I like that. I think that's cool that all those guys are playing together. I don't know how Sheffield, all those guys are Red Sox except for Chef. Don't know how he got in the mix. Maybe he just bought a house up there, but very cool nonetheless. That's going to do it for our show today. Tomorrow, Scotty Mincher joins the show. Richie Giuliano will be in as well. And, of course, we'll have some good stuff for you. Make sure there's 11 games on tonight. Make sure you're watching one of them. But, hell, watch all of them if you can. 11 games, start flipping around. All starting at 5:30 here on the network. My name's DJ. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on the Ysn Power Hour. Peace. Ysn thanks you for watching this presentation of